The 4-year undergraduate program, which is going to be implemented by the Delhi University from the coming academic year, has run into serious trouble with a number of renowned academics coming out openly against the 4-year program and highlighting inconsistencies which are a part of the proposed plan. Whenever there is a stalemate or whenever there is lack of consensus, it becomes very important for the authority, or rather the authorities, to come out and give clarifications regarding the controversial issues. The basic outline of the 4-year program revolves around the exit options which the students are going to be provided with. If you study for 2 years, you get a diploma degree. If you study for 3 years, you get a bachelor's degree. And if you complete 4 years of education, you get an honors degree. Some of the academics are asking this question: what is the point of providing the students with an exit option after 2 years? Because the person who is going to walk out with that degree or with that diploma degree will largely be a very underprepared student whose degree will be worthless and he will not be able to fetch a decent job for himself. The answer to this question lies in the fact that Delhi University is home to thousands of students who drop out without a degree. Due to the socio-economic conditions of India, large number of students are not able to complete their education at the level of graduation. What this 4-year program seeks to do is that these kind of people who might otherwise drop out due to financial constraints, these people will be allowed to go after 2 years. But when they will be going, they will be given a kind of recognition for the time which they have spent over here in the form of a diploma degree. These very people could have studied for 2 years in the normal 3-year program, could have failed or may have dropped out, and at the end of the day they would have got absolutely nothing. What the university has done is that now it has built a system where such kind of students will be awarded with a diploma degree, and so the university will ensure that the dropout rate goes down. Even though I agree that such degrees will not be very fruitful for students, but at the end of the day, the basic premise of pinning down the number of dropouts will be completed. Now, the question is, what about the courses or the papers which everybody will have to give? There are some 11 or 12 foundational courses which everybody has to give. The question which is being asked is that either the syllabus, it will be very tough for some people to meet out, or it will be of very low quality, because you want students to study same sort of subjects for the first 2 years. And what is the point? After all, they made a choice in class 11, then they again made a choice during admissions. Why are you making them study all these subjects? And how do you bring about some kind of I would say some kind of structural equality in the quality of the syllabus, in the sense that what you are studying is neither of very high standard nor of very low standard. The thing is, in India, the students who are passing out of universities and colleges, they have no knowledge about the world in which they are living. I will tell you, or I will give to you an example of my own class. I am a student of journalism, and when I was in my first year, I asked my batchmates who was the Vice President of the United States, and they could not answer that. And these were students of journalism, many of whom they had studied from very good schools in Delhi, like Delhi Public School. So the question is, do we want to prepare such kind of ill-informed citizens for our country? And the answer is certainly no. And hence, it is important that the students whom we are sending out in the industry to work, they should be well laced with everything, be it literature, law, history, science, mathematics, anything, all of them should have basic knowledge about a few subjects. It is very imperative for their holistic development. Now the question is about the syllabus. See, everybody makes choices after class 10, right? Now, either that person may have studied science or commerce or humanities. He may have not studied all the subjects. So yes, it is true that suppose I will be studying 11 subjects, right? Now, I may have studied some subjects and I may have not studied some subjects. For some subjects, the course or the syllabus or the papers, they might be of low standard for me. But the others will make up for it in the sense that if I'm a student of science, the mathematics syllabus might be easy for me to cope up with, but the syllabus of humanities might be tough for me, and it would work the other way around for other students. So if some part of the syllabuses will be easy for someone, other part of the same syllabus will be tough for someone, and hence at the end of the day, balance will be maintained. I find one severe problem with the system, and that is in regards to the fact that the student cannot be retained in the in any year. Even if he fails to get 40% marks, he goes on to the second year, then the third year, and then the fourth year. Now the problem is that the student will not be retained, but at the end of the day he will not be given a degree. So what you are doing is that you are facilitating wastage of time. This student, will stay over there for 4 years, fail in all the 4 years, and he will be totally destroyed. He will not have a degree. Then what is the point of allowing him to go from one year to the other, and then the third one, and then the fourth one? It is absolutely ridiculous, and it's a blatant suggestion in my opinion. And I will tell you for what purpose will it be basically used. A lot of people, they come into universities like Delhi universities, like JNU, for establishing their political career. They are involved in student politics, and they like to spend a lot of time in the campus. So all sorts of elements, they will somehow manage to get admission in the university, and because they cannot be now thrown out of the university for flunking, they will throughout be actively they will throughout carry out their political agenda, their political activism. They will fail, they cannot be kicked out, and they will become a permanent nuisance in the university, because the university has given them the certificate to stay in the university even after failing. And I don't think so in any university across the world this practice is being done, it is being carried out, where even after the student fails, you don't ask him to stay back. Instead you grant him admission, and at the end of the day you do not even give him a degree. So it's a silly suggestion. It is beyond my comprehension. Lastly and most importantly, I would like to address the issue of consultations. I personally feel that the university is at the end of the day trying to put into place reforms at a very, very fast speed, at an astronomical pace. And the problem is that they are not carrying out widespread consultations. Academics are not being taken into confidence. The university vice chancellor has a small coterie, and this coterie, it basically dominates the executive board and the academic council and everything, and by means of his powers he is getting everything enacted. Now the point is, these reforms, in my opinion, are not being conceptualized by the university administration. Yes, the nitty-gritties are being planned by them, but these reforms are basically a byproduct of the educational renaissance, which was basically a dream of our former HRD minister Kapil Sibal. Now it is because of the initiatives which were undertaken by Mr. Kapil Sibal during his reign as HRD minister that we are seeing such kind of things happening in Indian schools and universities. I can give you a very striking example to explain how is the 4-year undergraduate program a brainchild of Mr. Kapil Sibal and not of Mr. Dinesh Singh, who is the Vice Chancellor of the university. Even after he demitted the office of the HRD minister, when he was no longer the HRD minister and he came over and took over the reins in the telecom ministry, Mr. Kapil Sibal was invited to be the chief guest during Antardhwani, which is the annual fest of the University of Delhi. Yes, it is true that ministers, they always preside over public functions, but the fact is, during the inaugural ceremony, the Vice Chancellor chose to spoke about a lot of reforms, and he continuously made references to the fact that when Mr. Kapil Sibal was the HRD Minister of India, he initiated path-breaking reforms. And then Mr. Sibal also spoke of a few reforms which he had initiated and why there is a need for holistic individuals to graduate out of universities like the Delhi University. So the problem is occurring because consultation is not taking place, and consultation is not taking place because these reforms are being conceptualized by the HRD ministry and not the university administration. And this is the principal problem. You cannot have a consensus when a few bureaucrats do the job of academics, and the academics are told to toe the line of bureaucrats. And this is precisely where the current Vice Chancellor of the University of Delhi has gone wrong. He is basically a scientist, and so he sees things in numerical form, 0 or 1, either give result or give nothing. Whereas public administration it's a very, very complex subject. It requires consultations, deliberations, debates, discussions, and at the end of the day, decisions with consensus, which does not exist at the moment. So I personally feel that the 4-year undergraduate program, it's a good idea, but the idea could have waited for some time. It could have come in from the next year. But the reason why the university administration wants to implement it this year is because next year there will be a change of government. The HRD minister will be a different person with a different ideological direction. He might not like to push for the reforms agenda which was laid out by Mr. Kapil Sibal, and the idea might eventually be shelved. And so it is important that it gets implemented this year itself, because next year India is going to go to polls.